Welcome to another Davinci Resolve tips and tricks tutorial. In this episode, I'm bringing you a very special product, digital diffusion filters. Without any further ado, let's jump to the color page. I'm offering 14 different types of diffusions with different strength from 1/8, 1/4, half, and full. I'm going to show you the workflow, where to place the nodes for different effects, and also how to make them unique. These filters reproduce the effect of optical diffusion filters, mostly Tiffen. So in terms of the workflow, of course, using my node tree, this is an S-Log3 image, I use diffusion as the first thing. So this is the very first node right after the IDT, the input device transform. So it's meant to be this way. And also, I'm working on a color management, Davinci white gamut intermediate, and my output Rec 09 gamma 2.4. It's supposed to mimic the actual footage comes with this effect, as if you were to put a filter in front of your lens. So this is the recommended way, and within, so I have the output here. We're going from Davinci white gamut into Rec 09. So before this conversion, and at the very, very start of your node tree, whether you use mine or whether you use yours. If you don't use a node to manage, if you manage by project, but again, it's the very first node that you should add. So let me jump back to these stills. So yeah, I'm going to start showing you some examples. These sorts of shots, and I have a few here. Just these three different, and you can see, you can see that they are similar in the sense that these are dark shots and they have a specular highlights of some sort. These two, they have tubes, and these and all those specular highlights that are really nice, and they will showcase these diffusion filters really well. This doesn't mean that you can't use them in different shots, and that's why later I'm going to show you on my usual shots that I use in my tutorials how they work as well, even they are not dark or they don't have such specular highlights as these three examples I'm going to show right now. So let's start with the classic Pearlescent filter. On and off, you can clearly see I'm using the full strength of Pearlescent. So where's my Pearlescent full? Here. I lost the notes and I lost the gallery. I think it's one or the other. So let's go small. So it's just drag and drop, right? So let me just delete that node. I create a new node, an empty node here, and I'm gonna drag and drop. So as I was saying, Pearlescent filter is one of the most classical Tiffen filters. It introduces a gentle and controlled softening of the whole image, as you can see, from the highlights to the shadows. And it reduces the overall sharpness of the scene, in particular the fine details in the highlights. So you can see how it goes, but really soft, really a very diffused glow. I think it's really sought after when shooting with modern lenses in digital cameras. So it reduces that harshness and brings back a bit of that filmic or vintage lens with a soft coating, which is really nice. What's next? Satin. Satin, you can see already. Again, this is full strength satin. So yeah, this introduces a quite a unique and subtle diffusion whilst maintaining sharpness in the overall image. It reduces the highlights. The glow in this case is minimal. It's just a reduction of and softening of those highlights. What's next? Pearlescent. We can see that this is becoming a bit stronger. Again, this is in full flavor, and I'm offering the whole range. So you can use 1/4 or 1/8 if you think this is too strong. But yeah, in a nutshell, it softens the whole image and imparts a subtle, like a pearl quality to the image. It does lift the shadows, brings a lot of detail in that area, decreasing the contrast in a very pleasing way. Really nice. So far, these three, and I go back to Pearlescent, so you can see the highlights are mostly affected, leaving the darks with a soft but ever so slightly raised contrast. But the main visible effect here is the highlights. For the satin, again, it's very similar in the way that attacks the highlights, but it's very visibly softer in the highlights and way more subtle in the shadows. And the Pearlescent is affecting the whole image, giving it that lush, like dreamy look. So in the middle section, we have the mists. We have Supermist, warm, cool, and a regular mist. Let's go with Supermist. Boom. It softens the overall image, reducing the fine details quite a lot, contributing to this ethereal, dreamy look. I think I really like this one. And the contrast is highly reduced as well, and it has a super pleasing roll off from the highlights to the shadows. I really like the warm Promise filter, and you can see, on and off, you can see in this white-ish tubes here that is making this light warmer. This is exactly the same as making the highlights cooler. Yeah, so warm, cool, warm, cool. And the mist full is, it's reducing the overall contrast, the whole contrast. It's adding a very creamy look. So let's move on to the half smoke. Half smoke is, wow. Again, the smokes are one of my favorites. It provides, obviously, a smoky feel, hazy quality to the image. I'm actually trying to emulate, if you were using a smoke machine or a haze machine. And this is very obvious in the whole of the image. Let me grab just a still of the mist. Let me add the smoke filter, and then do quickly on and off the mist. You may think that they are very similar, but indeed they are quite different. The quality of what they do and how they're attacking the shadows. This is the mist. Look at here. This is smoke. Yeah, so the mist is overall is softer, is less contrasty. The smoke in the shadows, in the midtones, is a bit more contrasty. The highlights, and it has quite a lot of glow that it's into the midtones. You can see from here into the midtones how it, comparatively with the mist, that glow is bigger. On the first view, it may look, they're very similar, but you put them on and off, and they're very different. Let's move on, different image. But let's go with the smoke. An eighth of the smoke. As I said, one of my favorites. It's looking really good. Let's go to the Pro Mist. Really nice. It's a classic. There's nothing not to like about the Pro Mist. But let me do something so you can see quickly the graduation. Right? Sorry. I didn't say before, this was the full. Let's start with an eighth. Just pay attention here. The glow is subtle, but it's there. So most of the 1/8, I will use it all the time. Is you cannot see it, but you can definitely feel it, right? So what I mean with that is that you have to look at it to, yes, it's doing something. But it's not obvious if you were to see the image as a whole, it's not that obvious. Then fourth, now it's starting to become more obvious when I do on and off. Half more, and obviously the full version here. So it's meant to be that way. It's meant to be subtle. Obviously the huge jump would be from an eighth, pay attention to the tubes, to a full. And it looks amazing. Well, I really like it, obviously. And then we have the Black Promised, which is really, it's really soft. For this image, let's do just an eighth. Yeah, again, subtle. Let's do be more obvious. There we go. So as you can see, it doesn't quite lift the shadows as much as the Promised. It's more controlled. And it makes everything very soft, very lush. Amazing. I really like it. So these are some of my regular images I use for testing and for different qualities. Some exterior, interior, control light, non-control light, tungsten daylight, etc. I'm gonna just go quickly through them. I'm gonna turn the filters on and off. As you can see, it's at the very start of my node tree, although you can't see very well because I'm using the Shift F mode and everything's a bit small at the moment. Anyway, so now it's off and now it's on. This is an eighth of the smoke. Yeah, there you go, an eighth of the smoke. Yeah, you can see that even in the very deep shadows, it's just creating that hazy look. So next shot, so I'm using here an eighth of a warm mist. Let's go to the really subtle. Let's go to the white, probably even more undistinguishable. I think it's really helping on the skin tone, but actually just to make it, once again, more obvious. The warm mist is usually used to help actors with the skins. Let's go full. Wow. On and off, on and off. Yeah, you can see what it's doing to her face, lowering the contrast, adding that, warmth, that quality of life into someone's skin. So what I'm using here, cool mist. Yeah, and this one we have just a white sky. We can use this cool mist. There we go. Cool mist to give it, a tint, a glowy vibe. It looks lush. It looks really nice and soft. And well, we have this beautiful presenter. This is without any filtration. I haven't shown this before. Glimmer, and this is another of my favorites. It's one that keeps the sharpness while softening the image at the same time. So let me enable it. Let's do a close-up. So the sable, you can see in her eyes, right? You can see that obviously I'm magnified, but that it's on the soft side. I mean, she's completely sharp, I had the focus in her face. But then with the glimmer, her skin looks softer because those highlights are compressed and softened and reduced. But then look at her eyes. The sharpness comes alive. What else have we got in clips? Oh, we have quite a lot. Let me just fly through, because otherwise I'll make this video a whole bible of diffusion filters. I'm gonna try to enable the boom. Doesn't need any explanation. The fog, actually it's doing quite a lot for this image, adding that softness. She's enjoying life. The sun is backlit in her. Next, glimmer again, because this is a great shot for the glimmer. Look how it's softening her face. All this here, right? We have a few shades of the light coming in. How it's making everything softer. Instantly, the face looks much better. How it's tackling those highlights and making it more even with the rest of the face. I mean, diffusion is fantastic for actors' faces. Supermist, I really like what this one's doing. You can see how it's softening or lifting all those shadows. Obviously, the highlight here, blooming. Let's move on. So this is the Rec 709. It's got, it's got exposure and a bit of balance. Just that, nothing else. Everything ends up. I'm lying. I'm using one of my LUTs, guy. I'm gonna drop here the the usual link. Yeah. So this is the Rec 709. I'm using one of my LUTs. And I think it works with the faces as well. It's just helps actors, man. It makes everything so soft and nice. Let's move on. Ooh, this example. So Smoque, and this image that we have, deep shadows here, and nice highlights and some speculators here. Look what it does. 1, 2, 3, boom. Again, it's full, right? It's full. But just the haze that it's adding, it's like, wow, man. Let me grab a half. Let me grab half. There you go. That's much better. That is much better. First thing I want to show is how nice it looks. This smoke filter. This is Supermist, and this one as well, warm. Yeah, let me show you this thing, which is making masks. Right, so what I did here, I created a mask around the window, I tracked it, I extended the softness of the mask from here, just so it integrates more with the scene, it bleeds a bit more, so it's a bit more believable, and then click here on track forward and backwards, and Davinci, I mean, this is a really easy track, but Davinci has an amazing job at tracking things, and voila, from here we can disable the mask. And we're just adding diffusion to that window, but I just wanted the glow to come from here, hit the table a little bit, and then have the rest of the scene untouched. So you can do this with masks, and that's the flexibility of digital diffusion. So one more thing, going back to this example, that this is something that rather than creative could be coming down from the producer, director, or even the client itself. So we have a clear product in this shot, which is a car. Cars are expensive, they need to shine, they need to look beautiful in the adverts. Let's pretend the cinematographer decided to add a smoke filter in front of the lens. Is there any turning back to this? Hardly. You have to mess with the contrast a lot, mid-tone detail, etc. And again, this is how flexible digital diffusion becomes, because everything can be tweaked. So let's say I, as a colorist, an artistic decision is to add, because I like the smokiness. As you know, as I showed before, this half smoke. It could be a quarter, it could be an eighth. I like the strength of what it's doing in the shadows and with compressing the highlights. But what if either of these two chaps, producer, director, hello, they come in and they say, yeah, I really like how it's looking, the colors, blah, 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 all the decisions. But I feel like the car, the hero, needs to shine a bit more, so to speak. I can easily, the flexibility of this is create, I'm creating a mask and then invert it full, without, let's say, as if it was filmed this way in front of the lens. And this is just masking that car to bring back the detail in the car, so it's not so hazy. But the scene as a whole, it is hazy. So I left, a bit of a very soft mask eating into the car, so it's more believable. It's not like a cutout thing. This is another example of how flexible these filters can become in the post-processing stage. And last but not least, and I'll let you go, so you don't have to stay here with me for any longer if you don't want to. It's the placement of the node, right? So we're doing this, as I said before. This is a Rec 709 image, but I'm getting Rec 709 to Davinci Resolve white gamut, and as soon as I'm doing that, I'm applying the filters. So the very first node after your IDT, and then this goes into out into Rec 709 gamma 2.4 in my case. Look what it's doing to these shadows, that they seem to be lost. There's a lot of detail here. I think the image looks really nice. It's what happens if you apply this after Rec 709 conversion. Yeah, shall we try? I'm using blanking because this is more of a 4:3 image, and if I don't use blanking, and all these blacks are going to go soft, so we only concentrate on the image. So I have the same smoke full after Rec 709. Boom. It all gets magnified, right? Because of the Rec 709 gamma 2.4 conversion. So is it horrible? I don't know. I kind of like it ish. Maybe it's over the top, but it's definitely a vibe. I don't think anything wrong with this image. Let's put it this way. Whether you like it or not, whether it works in your film or it doesn't. So it's up to you. So my recommendation, the way I tweak these filters, the way I created them, is within a pipeline of Davinci white gamut between sandwich. But by any means, you can use them after your Rec 709 conversion and see what they do to your image. So I leave all this for you to purchase if you like what you see. I recommend them to use them before you apply any exposure or contrast right after your IDT at the very start of your node tree. But then, hey, who am I to tell you not to use it anywhere else? If you plonk it here at the end and you like the results, then please be my guest. So with this video, I'm breaking for the holidays in this part of the world, and whether you celebrate or not, any time is good time to treat yourself, right? So buy yourself a nice tool for your grading sessions and have a great time on my behalf. Until next time, bye!